Welcome. Thank you for coming to learn more about the Inclusive Education Professional Learning Plan. This learning plan was developed through our work in Washington State's Inclusionary Practices Professional Development, or IPP project, funded by the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, or OSPI. What is the Inclusive Education Professional Learning Plan? It is a professional development resource with a specific focus on each and every learner, inclusive of general education students who have extensive support needs. In our work and through collaboration with school and district leadership, we often hear that their why for inclusive and equitable education is more clear to them, but how to change systems, implement and sustain more inclusive practices are what they are still needing to understand more fully. This learning plan supports both the why and the how by focusing on 5 identified priority areas, which we will discuss further in a moment. The intended outcomes of the Inclusive Education Professional Learning Plan are that building leadership teams will engage in professional learning to build their own capacity, so that the team can then design a professional learning plan for the whole school to support the implementation of inclusive practices that promote belonging and inclusion for each and every student, including students with extensive support needs. Through this professional learning, entire school teams will feel able and supported to implement and sustain inclusive practices collaboratively across their building and their teams. The Inclusive Education Professional Learning Plan is broken into 5 priority areas. The first priority area is the rationale for and research supporting inclusive education. We recommend that all teams should start with this section, even if there's already a history of considering or implementing inclusive practices within a building. By all teams starting with the rationale for and research supporting inclusive education section, it builds in opportunities for the adults to process the potentially new information together and envision what the change will mean for students, for themselves personally, as well as for the whole school. This priority may require shifts in school culture and leadership and requires family and community participation. Focusing first on this priority area also allows for communication to occur with families, students, community members, and school staff about the foundational best practices and the why underlying inclusive education. The building leadership team will consider school-based assessment results to prioritize the professional learning menu and move to one of the other 4 priority areas, which include collaborative lesson planning, inclusive IEPs and education day at a glance, creating a culture of belonging and peer engagement, and inclusive service delivery. Here is a visual of the steps we recommend. First, school leaders ensure that their school building leadership team engages in this planning with a wide array of stakeholders, general educators, special educators, family and community members, and related service personnel. For those who aren't already represented on the building leadership team, determine how to include those stakeholders in your planning and communication. Second, the building leadership team will consider school-based assessment results, for example, Least Restrictive Environment Self-Assessment Tool, the FIA, etc., to prioritize the professional learning menu in this resource. Third, in support of your school's journey to inclusion, as already discussed, we recommend that you begin by engaging in learning the why underlying inclusive school communities. Discussing the rationale and research for inclusive education is an important place to start. However, we have also learned that quite quickly you need to move to the how and the what of inclusion, which is the focus of the remaining 4 priority areas. Fourth, move on to one of the remaining 4 priority areas, collaborative lesson planning, general education and inclusive IEPs, creating a culture of belonging and facilitating peer relationships, or the inclusive service delivery, based on your building's priorities and school-wide assessment results. Each priority area has 4 sections. As you can see here, the orange box shows where you will find the facilitation guide. This link goes to a separate document for use by the chosen facilitator or facilitators to guide leadership teams through the professional learning. As you can see highlighted in red, there's a space for whole school planning, where the leadership team is able to identify the what, when, and who pieces for planning and facilitation of the professional learning. The section you will notice highlighted in green is the what section, where the resources and links to various learning tools are listed in a variety of formats. Each section has at least one recorded brief introductory video with accompanying slides for the team to use if they choose to expand on the content or to use it within their own context, as well as resources referenced and linked within the video. Lastly, you will see highlighted here in purple the deeper dive section with accompanying resources that allow individuals and/or teams to further think about and apply the concepts introduced in the priority area. These resources have been chosen to not only be relevant as it relates to the priority area topic, but also provided in a universally designed fashion, so people can read, listen, and watch content as they consider a topic in a deeper way. Here's an example of how to use the Inclusive Service Delivery priority area. Once you follow the Facilitation Guide link, it takes you to this document. Within the Facilitation Guide, you can see there's an overview section which grounds the work and the learning, giving context about why it's important. Next, you can see that there's a table with the learning materials listed, as well as a brief description of each, accompanied by a quick link list of each resource on the right-hand side for reference as well. At the very bottom of this slide, you can see an example of the Facilitation Activities section. This section outlines suggested ways for facilitators to engage individuals as well as small and/or larger groups of learners through the content. There are time considerations as well as various learner engagement strategies incorporated throughout the facilitation activities for the facilitator to consider for their context and their situation. The resource links within the professional learning have been designed with universal design for learning in mind. There are opportunities for choice and various modalities of engagement. The links are embedded within longer descriptions, as well as listed in ways that allow for quick reference and can be easily found by various people, with the assumption that they may be a building leader, facilitator, instructional coach, or a learner. Likewise, content is presented in a short video format with captioning and is also offered as PowerPoint slide decks that can be used as is or added to by people wanting to present the information within their own contexts. The short videos and PowerPoints could be merged together if there were a longer professional development opportunity, as well as shared before or after shorter professional development opportunities. As always, we are on a path of continuous growth and improvement and would appreciate any feedback on the Inclusive Education Professional Learning Plan and hope that you will find it useful in your work with districts and schools. Please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is listed here. Thank you.